why your measurements are costing you your profit and what to do about it. My name is Wuraola Ubaka, and I am the founder of the Profitable Fashionpreneur Academy. This is the only academy dedicated to ensuring fashion entrepreneurs stay profitable. We help ready-to-wear brands start, scale, and transition for more profitability. Tonight, we're going to be considering the issue of measurements. We're going to explore how, as a ready-to-wear fashion entrepreneurs, measurements are a silent killer. Whether we like it or not, you turn potential customers into repeat buyers when you have predictability as a brand, when they can trust and count on you to be able to deliver consistent results in your fitting every time. So we're going to go right into it. If you are a fashion brand and you have sizes that keep fluctuating, you're going to be dealing with customer returns. You're going to have piled up returns. You're going to have more dead stock. And obviously, if you have a customer return, even if you're replacing that item, if a customer returns something because that thing did not fit properly, then the responsibility is on you, not only to bear the cost of the replacement, but to also ensure that that replacement also fits properly. If you do not, extinguish that responsibility, you're going to have to do a refund. So what would have happened in that scenario? It will mean that your measurements have not only cost you your customer trust, because the next time the person wants to buy from you, the person is going to pause and think that this brand that I bought from last time and their measurements were not even okay. Should I really buy from them again? The person is actually going to pause and have a think. And this is what we do not need as fashion entrepreneurs in the ready-to-wear space. And so if you don't have consistent measurements, if you're unable to guarantee consistent measurements, that's a profit leak right there. And like I always say, this is the Profitable Fashionpreneur Academy. Our job is to expose the things that you may be doing in your business that are making you lose money. Because profit is not just what you sell or how much markup or profit margin you put on your clothes. It is in the leaks that you block. Last week, we were dealing with leaks relating to inventory and dead stock and how that's a silent killer for your business. And this week, we're dealing with how measurements may be causing you profit leaks. That money that you're spending, replacing an item, shipping it out again, refunding an item that you may not be able to sell because it is not properly made. It can be avoided by ensuring that you actually have accurate measurements from the get-go. So I'm going to be starting by exploring this scripture that is from Proverbs chapter 21, verse 5. And it says, the plans of the diligent surely lead to abundance. The plans of the diligent surely lead to abundance. But everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. Diligence is in the small details. It is in the fine details that people often take for granted. And that Bible verse tells us that everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. If you don't take your time to be diligent with creating a measurement chart for your brand as a ready-to-wear brand and applying it properly across board, you're going to find yourself constantly having profit leaks. So the key thing to note is that inconsistency in measurements costs money. So if you are someone who is already in the ready-to-wear space, or you are a bespoke fashion entrepreneur who is trying to transition, this is one thing you want to keep an eye out on. If you are starting from bespoke, or if you started from bespoke, as a lot of us did, you see that when you take the customer's measurements, they'll normally come in for fitting. So you'll be able to actually check if that measurement works, or apply or reapply it across board as the case may be. But in ready to wear, that's not the case. There's no customer coming in for fitting. You are selling your vision, you are selling your brand promise, you are selling your designs to people who may never see you, who may never know you, who you may never come in contact with. The vision is to be able to sell our pieces in places all over the world. And if that's the vision, then you cannot be approaching ready to wear with a bespoke mindset. So a lot of bespoke tailors, what they do is that even if they have the customer's measurement which they have taken for a dress, when it comes to the application of those measurements, you're like, you apply it and then you're like, don't worry, she will still come for fitting, so we'll still check if it's okay. You can't bring that into the ready to wear space. Nobody is coming for fitting. So you have to do your due diligence. And that's why I started with that scripture, because you have to do your due diligence. You have to be diligent in ensuring that from the get-go, before you start, that item is actually being sewn to the proper specifications. The proper measurement according to the size chart that you have developed are being applied to that garment, especially from your sample sizing. We ready to wear, you're not going to actually go and produce a whole batch of 10 of the same items at once. No, you're going to start with one sample size. So you need to ensure that that sample size, you have properly applied measurements according to your size chart. So imagine producing 100 dresses and then half of your customers return them because the sizes vary. Or someone comes and there is size 12 based on your measurement chart, and then they pick up the dress from you, go home, put it on, and it's not correct. The next time they are afraid, they don't even want to even recommend you to other people. That's even the problem. It's not even in just that customer that you lose, it's in the chain. Because in law, there's something we call the chain of causation. You have created a causation in the fact that that customer can no longer trust you, and that causation chain is just moving. It's just moving to places you don't know. They might even see someone who is saying, I like Wura, let me go and pick a dress on them. I say, I bought from them last week. Oh, my dear, no fit. Sha, if you have money to waste, you can go there. But when you have a brand that is able to actually guarantee the consistency of measurements, you actually put in the work needed to ensure that your customers get the same, the same measurements or the same fit per time from your garment. You see that you're actually able to create return customers and you're actually able to turn around profit more. Hello, Oyindamola, welcome to today's live. So, what is the solution? How can you actually go ahead to move from someone who has lost profits in returns, lost profits in labor, lost profits in material, is having to deal with dead stock? Because yes, all those things that you return, they've become dead stock. You have to look for how to sell them. That's if they're even sellable. Because there are sometimes that you have measurements that are so fundamentally wrong that you can't even possibly sell that dress. I used to tell some people, I would say that even if they dash me, if I no go collect, some of us have those kind of dresses that even if they dash you, you no go collect. As a ready to wear brand, that's not something that you actually want to do. You want to make sure that you're able to create consistent pieces all the time. Now, what is the solution? I have something I call the 3S framework. The 3S framework for measurements. The 3S formula to stop the returns and start the profits. 3S, that's S for system. So we are going to actually go ahead and look at this formula. This formula is designed to be able to turn your sizing into a profit engine. Because you see, there's something I always say, that when you go into the ready to wear space, from the get-go, you need to determine, what your USP is. On my fashion brand, Wura.ng, I recently started a storytelling series. And yesterday was the one of that storytelling series. You may feel free to actually follow us. I'm going to drop I'm going to drop it in the description box. So I started a storytelling series yesterday. My 30 days storytelling challenge with Wura. And one thing I said was that every every great brand begins with a problem. And for me, that problem was fit. My brand Wura started with a dress that didn't fit. It started because a tailor made a dress that didn't fit. A tailor basically spoiled that dress, and I still remember that dress. Now, why was that instrumental to me? Because going into business, I knew that I wanted to be able to create pieces that actually fit. That actually fit. So at Wura, fit is one of our biggest selling points because we do not want you to have. Do you know the joy you have when you purchase something? Imagine you saved up money. Like you're like, you know what, this month, at the end of this month, I'm going to treat myself to a beautiful dress from Wura. Now you save up money, and then at the end of the month, you painstakingly put that money together and you say, okay, I'm ordering the Mayflower dress. I've wanted to get this dress for the longest time. So please bring it on. And then this dress comes to you and you put it on and it doesn't fit. And in 1 minute, that whole process of you saving money, of you being excited, of you wanting to be able to get this dress, it just evaporates into thin air because you're like, what is this? What is this? So this is the issue. Now you are not able to have that joy. You're not able to derive that joy that you should derive from a purchase. If you are a customer that did all that, saved all that money, how will you go back to that brand? So for ready to wear, this sizing um even goes beyond just one isolated incident. Sizing is sorry about that. So sizing is an emotional journey, you know, it's an emotional journey between you and your customer. And that's why you have to actually take it seriously as a ready to wear brand. You have to actually take it seriously as a ready to wear brand. So, yes, let's jump right in to the first S of turning your sizing into a profit engine. The first F. The first S is systemize. Systemize. You need to create a system around your sizing. You need to be able to create a system around your sizing. Systems don't just multiply. They actually systems don't just organize, they actually multiply your profits. Systems don't just organize, they multiply. So you must be able to create a system around your profits. Measurements. How do you create a system? Number one, you get measurements, standard operating procedures in relation to measurements. You get standard operating procedures in relation to measurements. Now, when I talked about SOPs, if you actually go through, our page, you see that there was a day that I talked about SOPs. I said SOPs are your profit blueprints. SOPs are that thing that make you create a system that you can consistently run on. And even in the absence of you, who is the CEO or the founder or the creative director, your team can actually run without needing to actually keep coming back to you. So SOPs help you to create that system. Now, you need to be able to create an SOP that helps you standardize your measurements by number one, creating a measurement chart. So creating a measurement chart for your brand is the first part of your SOP. You need to be able to go through the process of knowing, okay, when it comes to my brand, that is wura.ng, my size 12 is a 34 bust. My size this thing 12 is a 28 waist. My size 12 is a 40 hips. But obviously, there's a process that you use to come through these measurements. And in the Ready to Wear bootcamp of the Profitable Fashionpreneur Academy, through the course of last week, we took participants of the bootcamp through the process of creating measurement charts for their fashion brands. Because it's not enough for you to copy a measurement chart off the internet and say, oh, this is the measurement chart. No, that's not the way it works. You need to first understand who you're selling to and understand what the base sizes is of people in that category that you are selling to. If you don't understand their base sizes and how those people like their clothes, you will not be able to create a measurement chart that is reflective of that customer. And that is sometimes the reason why even though you have a measurement chart, you still have customers complain about the fit of your clothes because you're not creating that chart with your customer in mind. So you need to be able to create a measurement chart that is reflective of your customer and that is reflective of the particular idiosyncrasies. If the customer who is your ideal customer is a person curvy, is a person petite, is a person slim, you need to be able to create size chart that reflects this aspect of their body. Because I say at the end of the day, we're not just creating tables. We are making measurements that are for clothes that actually fit, that are for clothes that are for actual human beings. And the only way to be able to create a measurement chart that resonates with actual human beings is by being able to put yourself in a headspace where you are thinking of that one person who is a person that your brand is created to cater to while you are creating that measurement chart. So the first thing is that you're creating a chart that is for your brand, and that is your first process in systemization. So yes, you have your measurement chart. The next thing is that you're going to now have measurement SOPs for each garment size, for each garment type, pardon me. So for your shirts, this is the SOP. Trousers, this is the SOP. Skirts, all garment types should have their own SOPs. And then another thing you can also do is that, so for that, your measurement chart now that you have, and you have bust, waist, hip, inseam, whatever, because obviously for the measurement chart that is for your team, your production team, you're having more intricate charts because those charts, remember, are following your tech pack. So you're having more intricate charts. So you're able to actually have templates and diagrams that say, when I'm talking about the bust, this is where I'm referring to the waist, the hips, the armhole, the shoulder, the neck, whatever. So you need to be able to systemize your instructions for the production team member who is actually working on interpreting those things on your measurement charts. So it's not even only enough for you to create a measurement chart that is according to your ideal customer. You need to also systemize the process of taking and interpreting those measurements so that your team in-house can actually be able to say, okay, this is the process we are taking for measurements, and this is how we are interpreting those measurements, and this is how we need to apply it, and this is how we cross-check to be sure that what we have actually measured is actually correct. So you need to go through all these processes to ensure that you are able to create a system. Now, I always like bringing it in with biblical examples. If we look at Exodus from chapter 25 to 28, we see a story about God giving Moses instructions for the tabernacle. He was giving Moses instructions for how he was supposed to build a tabernacle of worship. And he gave him instructions down to the color, down to the sizing, down to the metric tones, down to how the angels should face, how everything, the gates, the altar, even the vestments, everything was written down in a way that people who were making the tabernacle could actually say, okay, these are the sizes. This is the size of the tabernacle. This is how I'm supposed to systemize it. The same thing applies to Noah. If we look at when, God told Noah to do the ark, God told Noah the specific cubic meters he needed each part of that ark to have, because it wasn't something that Noah will go and wing it. He will say, na ark, na boat. So maybe we go just on like, Noah needed to be coming correct to actually doing that ark, so that when the animals go on that ark and that ark is on the water, it doesn't sink. So God gave Moses the measurements, the actual measurements that he needed for that ark. Now, if after God gave Moses those measurements, Moses now went ahead to say, these measurements, okay, let me just do it like this. Okay, I'll just do it. Then he doesn't follow through. So he has the measurements that God has given him, but then he's not applying it according to the blueprint that has been given. What's going to happen? Well, the animals would have been loaded on the ark, all the animals, and then the human beings that are supposed to preserve the generation will be loaded on that ark, and that ark will go on water and sink. That's how important our measurements are. We don't want to finish all the work we're putting into our brands, and then when that brand is launched out, or when our products go out, they go on the water and they cannot survive because we did not actually follow the proper procedure. And so the first step to actually having measurements that work for your brand is to systemize your process. You must create repeatable systems that anybody who comes into your organizations can see and follow. And that comes with your measurement chart, and then the SOPs for taking those measurements that are on that chart, and then the SOPs for applying those measurements to the actual garments for your production team. That's all part of your systemization process. So let's move to the second S. The second S is scale. The second S is scale. Scale. So now you've created your measurement charts and you have a base size. So for the students who are in the Ready to Wear Bootcamp of the Profitable Fashionpreneur Academy, I tell them that you need to be able to create base sizes based on your ideal customer, because it is those base sizes, the base sizes of your ideal customer, your fit model. That's what you graduate your measurements around. So now you've created a base size based on your fit model, and you want to graduate the measurements. Because remember, this is Ready to Wear. The Profitable Fashionpreneur Academy is an academy that is dedicated to helping ready-to-wear brands start, scale, and transition. So now you've created your base size, and we want you to scale. So you're not going to be applying measurements to every garment that you're sending out, because obviously that's not a pattern for scaling. So we're Ready to Wear. You're making one model, you're testing it on a fit model, you're adjusting it on your patterns. If you see that, that measurement that you use when you tested it on your fit model, it has a problem, you go back to your pattern and then you adjust whatever needs to be adjusted, based on what you now saw on the actual human being that now wore that dress that you made, that you want to produce 100 pieces of. Now, after you have done those adjustments on that your pattern piece that carries that measurement for your brand, you go back again and you test it on your fit model again to be sure that this time it actually works well. When you are now sure that it works well, you can now go ahead and then now use that pattern and then produce, produce multiple pieces. And also you can now grade that pattern across other sizes. You can now grade that pattern across other sizes. Now, it is that process of grading that pattern and that process of being able to use that one pattern, to make 100 pieces of the dress, 10 pieces of the dress, 20 pieces of the dress, depending on, your market volume. That is what Ready to Wear helps you do. So you have your pattern for a size 12, and any size 12 you're producing for, you're not starting to drafting your pattern again, applying measurements, fitting, testing. No, you have tested this pattern for this design. You have tried it on your fit model. You have sewn it out on your calico. You know it works. So every time you put that size 12 on this thing and you cut it out, it will always work. That is the whole idea. So scaling is the second step. So you have a base size. That's the first step in the in the scaling part. You create a base size based on who is the customer that is the. When you think of your ideal customer, is the person a small person petite? Is the person maybe like a size 14? Or are you catering to curvy or fuller bodied women? You need to consider all this. So for instance, you cannot be a plus size brand catering to curvy women, but then your fit model is a size 8, or your base size is a size 8. That is an error. Your base size should actually follow who your customer is, who the person you're catering to is, so that when you are testing on your fit model, you're testing on a fit model that aligns with your ideal customer. So that it's not that you now see something on a small person who is not your ideal customer and it fits well, and then when the big person wears it, it looks like it's all over the place, and then you're confused. So the first step is that your base size that you're selecting must correspond with who your ideal customer is. Then after you have selected that base size, so let's say you sell to curvy women and you want to do a base size of a size 16, because that's like the most, those are like the most people that congregate around your brand. So you do a base size of 16. What you now do is that if you now have other sizes that you now want to create, you can now downgrade or upgrade the scale. So on your pattern piece, you can now decide to actually grade it down or grade it up, depending on the further sizes you want to do. So what have I said here? I'm saying that when you are grading, a lot of brands start with the smallest size and then grade it upward. Don't do that. Start with the size that is closest to who your ideal customer is, and then grade it either downwards or upwards, depending on which one you need per time. Then if you now want to scale, most times when I advise fashion entrepreneurs, I say if you want to grade 3 sizes. If you're grading in-house, grade 3 sizes. You can do because at the end of the day, if you actually have gone through the process of understanding who your customer is, you see that your customers mostly fall within a 3 to 4 size brackets. They are not really that varied, unlike what people think. If you have a customer base that your base fit model is a size 14, you will hardly have customers that are beyond a size 18, and you hardly have customers that are less than a size 12. Very hardly, because you'll be creating pieces with those people in mind. So it is more of those kind of people that will keep finding your brand. And that's really the beauty of ready to wear. The fact that you can actually sit down and envision what you want, and then you now go ahead to create that vision. Wow. That is so powerful. You can now go ahead to create that thing that you have envisioned. You bring it to pass by the power of, your imagination, your mind, and your systems. That's the beauty of ready to wear. So scaling transforms one brand into a full size range. So make sure that when you are scaling, you're using increments that are consistent. So let's say you are grading across sizes, and you decide that for your brand, though, you don't want to grade according to the standard grading this thing. You have studied women and you have seen that between your sizes, you have maybe 2 inches difference, or 3 inches, or 2.5 inches, or 1.5, whatever it is that you have done your exercise and come to. You can say, okay, so it means that per measurement, on the bust, we're increasing it by 2 inches. On the waist, we're increasing it by 1.5. On the hips, 2 inches. If this is what you adopt, don't come and be grading from size 14 to 16. You do 2 inches, 1.5, 2 inches. Then you now go to 16 to 18. You now do 2.5 inches, 2 inches. Well, no. Your grading should be consistent across all sizing. So whatever inches you are applying to the measurement, you need to apply it across board, across the sizes. Okay, so that's a very cardinal principle of grading. So we're going to go to the third S. Yes, the third S of stopping the returns. The third F of turning your sizing into a profit engine. So remember, we are dealing with the 3 P's framework. The 3 P's framework. The 3 P's framework for stopping the returns and turning your measurement into a profit engine. So the third S is stabilizing. So you stabilize. Stabilize is the third S. The first S was systemize. The second S was scale. And the third S is stabilize. So now you have created the measurements, you have systemized them, you have created an SOP, for which you move the for which you take those measurements and your team applies those measurements. Then you have gone ahead to create a base size. You have gone ahead to grade that measurement across different sizes. The next thing that you want to do is that you want to now stabilize your measurements. Stabilization ensures that your system continues working. That's what stabilization does, so that you are getting a feedback loop. So you did your first collection, and then you went to market, and then you're now listening to your customer feedback, and they said, oh, I'm a size 12 with this brand, I bought a size 12 from you, I see it comes up a bit smaller, or I'm a size this for this, or whatever, or I bought a size 12, the bust fit very perfectly, but the waist was a bit too loose, blah blah blah. So you're taking all that feedback, and then what are you doing? You are going back and you are checking to be sure that your SOPs and your systems are making sense. You're checking, do I need to now look at this and change this, increase this, reduce this based on customer feedback? Because at the end of the day, you're not a robot. Our businesses get better through feedback and through the application of this feedback, listening to the feedback, and then going back to the drawing board to say, okay, what can we do to actually now pay attention to this and make this better? So I'll give an example with your phone. Most times on your phone, you just realize that maybe after a while, they are telling you, oh, there's an update on your phone, or even applications I use on your phone. You say, oh, there's a new application, there's a new update on this application. And what do those updates do? Most times those updates come and they give you either, for instance, when they update WhatsApp, you can see, okay, maybe before you couldn't do video calls to multiple contacts at the same time, and they update it and you can do that. Okay, you couldn't do text to speech, they upgrade, you can do that. So upgrading helps them fix issues, errors that they had, or listen to feedback, improve on the services, improve on the delivery of that product or that system. And that's the same thing you want to do with your measurements. You want to be listening to your customer, because remember, you have an ideal customer in mind. So whatever you're doing, you're listening to say that this thing that I'm doing, is it going to work for this person? Now you've done it, you've sent it to her, she has tested it, and she's saying, okay, this works or this doesn't work. What you are doing during the process of stabilizing, which is our third S, is that you're ensuring that your system continues working. You're ensuring that that system you've created is working and that it continues to work. So if there are things that you now need to go back to the drawing board to impute, you do that to ensure that you have a system that continues working. So monitoring, adjusting, and reviewing protects your profit like a shield. When you monitor, adjust, and review per time, it protects your profits like a shield. And this is so important. So what can you do? Practical tool. What practical tools can you use? Number one, record every single measurement. Record the measurements that you are using for your sizes. Record the measurements that you're using for your sizes. Record every single measurement you're using for your sizes. Number two, track the changes over time. So if you have complaints from customers, track those changes over time. Keep tracking them, keep going back, keep working on your processes. Number three, identify patterns causing returns. So you had a measurement and then you realize that every time you are always having returns. This size 12 is coming back a lot. It means that maybe this size 12 that you're doing, there's something about it that is not quite right. Okay, customers are always complaining about the armhole of those dress. Okay, customers are always complaining about the bust. You identify that pattern. So every time you have a return, identify and document it. Okay, this customer returned this size 12 dress in blue because ABCDEFG. What that helps you do is that it helps you correct any errors. And guess what? What gets checked gets corrected. And what gets corrected increases your profit. What gets checked gets corrected. And what gets corrected increases your profit. So, what have we said in essence today? We have said measurements are the singular most important thing that you need to get right as you are going into ready to wear. Or if you're already in ready to wear and you find that you are losing a lot of money to returns, it means you need to go back to the drawing board and look for how to actually create a measurement system that works for your brand. And what is the way to create that system? I've given you the 3S formula. And the 3S formula includes systemizing, scaling, and stabilizing. So you systemize, you create systems around your measurement, starting from your measurement chart, starting from how the measurements on that chart are taken on the fit model and then are applied to the garment type. And then you now go to sizing, creating a base size that enables you to scale, knowing who your base customer is, and then being able to create, your size chart based on that base customer, test out your measurements on a fit model in that base customer size, check if that garment actually fits that fit model, which is your base customer size, adjust it if necessary, and then stabilize. Stabilize is that you have sent out these things, you have produced your first batch, you've sent it out, you're listening to customer feedback. You're not just doing whatever you want, you're actually listening to customer feedback to say, oh, this is what the customer is saying and this is what I'm actually going to take out of it. So you're listening to customer feedback. That is the third part. So what are you now going to do next? Once you have now done that, you can now go ahead to know that you are now creating a system of measurements that is preventing you from having leaks in your brand. So if you have stayed with me till this time, then well done. You have done well. You're doing an amazing job. Well done. You have done well. You're doing an amazing job. What are you going to do now? Go back and draft your base size chart. Draft your base size chart, and two, implement at least one SOP that takes that size chart from taking the measurements to actually implementing them on the garment. Then monitor at least one garment type for returns. So it's not enough for you to sit down and attend, live classes or listen to things. You need to actually take action. Any knowledge that is not implemented is going to waste. So go back, look into your systems and actually reflect that, are your measurement SOPs, do you have them documented? Do you have a base size that is correct, that is tested on a fit model? Do you have sizes that are correctly graded based on that, base size of your customer base? Are you tracking your returns, exchanges because of measurements? And how much profit could you recover if your sizing were perfect? How much profits could you recover if your sizing were perfect? Remember, profit isn't just in selling more pieces. It is in reducing losses. Stop leaving money on the shelf. Each step of this 3S formula is a profit multiplier. If you put it into your business, you will see that it will block some leaks that you've been having. It will block some leaks that you've been having. It will block some leaks that you've been having. So it's important that you actually pay attention to this. Then, if you know that everything I've said to you is sounding like gibberish, it's sounding like you can't understand it, then it means that you need to actually pay attention, and you may need to actually join the PFA Academy. At PFA, we have a ready-to-wear bootcamp where we teach fashion entrepreneurs how to actually start, scale, and increase their profits in their fashion business. And everything I've said today, we actually have tools that we give bootcamp participants that help them implement these things. So if everything I'm telling you is sounding like gibberish, then you need to join the next cohort of our bootcamp, which starts on the 1st of November 2025. And that bootcamp runs for 90 days. It is the place that you really want to be, because it is a place where you are able to actually implement all the things that you are learning and have a system that is tracking you, plus a community of accountability that actually helps you to actually have people who you can exchange ideas with, you can lean on, and all that. So if you know that you are trying to start a ready-to-wear brand, or if you know that you have been running a ready-to-wear brand and it's not quite making sense, the numbers are not coming in properly, or if you know that you have been trying to actually transition from bespoke, which is the hardest part, which is what I actually did. That's the hardest part, transitioning. You've been trying to transition, but you just actually don't know how to. Then the PFA Ready to Wear Bootcamp is that place that you want to be. Is that place that turns your creativity to actual bankable profits. So I invite you. The details are on your screen. So I invite you to come and join us in the profitable world of ready to wear. Thank you so much for joining us on this live call. And I'll be checking in the comment section if we have any questions relating to measurements, so I can take them. And if we don't, and we'll have to actually call it an evening. As always, it's always great being the facilitator right here on this live call. As always, my name is Wuraola Ubaka. I am the founder and the lead coach at the Profitable Fashionpreneur Academy, the only academy actually dedicated to your profits. And like I always say, if your business is not making money, why are you even in business? So, wishing us all an excellent weekend. Have a nice day. And for those of us in the profit circle who are here in the comment section, I can see you, and I will see you right there in the profit circle. For those who are not in the profit circle, you need to jump into the next cohort. Being in the profit circle is a thing. So, see you guys in the profit circle, and see you next week, Friday, at another Fashionpreneur Friday forum. Real issues, real talk, and real solutions. Have a nice day, Fashionpreneurs.
Mommy.